All right, we welcome everyone once again. Our cherished viewers, to our program called Hope Fulfilled. Hope Fulfilled. We believe that all biblical hope have been fulfilled because once we have fulfillment of all Bible prophecies connected to the fall of Jerusalem and the temple in AD 70, it also fulfills every hope the Bible spoke of. So that is the case. So is the name of our program. If you want to verify this, you read the 13th chapter of the book of Proverbs and the verses 12 and 19 as well. It's going to tell you that when hope is deferred, it sickens the heart, but when hope is fulfilled, it's fruit to the spirit or the soul. So we are not with sickened soul or spirit, in that we are not anticipating the future fulfillment of the promises of the Bible, but we believe that all Bible prophecies were fulfilled in connection with the fall of Jerusalem and the temple in AD 70. That is what Jesus Christ said in Luke chapter 21, verse 20 to 22, that when you see Jerusalem compassed by army, then know that its end is near, and those who are in should flee to, the countryside. And this is so that all things which are written may be fulfilled. I believe I did not get every word correct, but that is the idea of that verse 20 and 22, 22 through 20 through uh, 22 of Luke chapter 21. So it's the fulfillment of Bible prophecies. Anyway, we've been looking at this. We've been looking at this topic, or been studying this topic, and making series of videos in connection as to whether heaven has come to be with man on earth. Whether it is possible to uh, have heaven right now in our midst, or we have to as to, or whether we are going to spend some days in the tomb, and that when the end has come, when the end of time has come, we are going to be released from the tomb physically, come out from the tomb, and to be with our God in air. That is what we have been made to believe all this while. But we are not going to deal with all this, but we are specifically looking at as to whether heaven has come to be with man on earth. Now, in this is the second series. This is the second series of videos we are making in connection to uh, this topic, and so we will recommend you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hope Fulfilled. Hope Fulfilled. Now, if you want to um, quicken the generation of my page in by way of searching for it, you add my name to it. When you key in Hope Fulfilled, then you add my name, Solomon Bedu, and that will help you, in quick search of my channel, because we've made a lot of video, not on this particular topic, but a lot of related covenants, uh, or related eschatology videos, and they are very, very helpful to your understanding, especially in the field of eschatology. So is the situation now in uh, Hebrew chapter 8, verse 5. We were told that Moses was shown a pattern. In fact, when he was instructed to put up a tabernacle for God, he was instructed to uh, build it in pattern, or in partnership with the one that was shown to him. Okay, to pattern what he was instructed to build for God in accordance with the one he was shown on the mountain. Now, if that is Exodus chapter 25, verse 40, as well as Exodus chapter 36, Exodus chapter 26, verse 30. Moses was shown a place, a house, kind of, when he was about to. when he was instructed to build one for, for God as a dwelling place among Israel. So he was shown one on a mountain, and he was instructed. Now, if you read, even before we go to Hebrew chapter 8, if you read Act chapter number 40, Act chapter number 7, verse 44, it says that, talking about God's true tabernacle. Now, remember, it says that our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness. That was their sojourning from Egypt to Canaan in the wilderness, as he, that is God, appointed, instructing Moses to make it according to the pattern that he had seen. So that means that in Exodus chapter 25 and 40, as well as Exodus chapter uh, 26 verse 30, and then First Chronicle chapter 28 verse 9 through to 12, Moses was shown a specific tabernacle. In fact, he was in spirit, because no one could see, what he saw in this mortal flesh, in this mortal stature, unless he metamorphosed into a different, being, before he can see what is beyond this creation. So he was shown a place. He was shown God's abode. He was shown God's dwelling place. He was shown a heavenly tabernacle, what we call the true tabernacle. And what was he told to do? He was instructed to make what he was going to construct according to the pattern that he has seen, which our fathers, having received it in turn, also brought it with Joshua into the land possessed by the Gentiles, whom God drove out before the face of the fathers until the days of David. That is Deuteronomy 32, verse 49, Joshua 3, 14. Can also talk about First Kings 1 to so on and so forth. You understand? But this is the point. Moses was shown a tabernacle, that is God dwelling place, and that he was instructed to build one, with his hand, according to what he was shown or what he has seen. But what did he see? He saw a heavenly Jerusalem, a new tabernacle, a true tabernacle of God, which is different from the one he had been instructed to construct or to make. You understand? So what does that mean? You see, what that means is that um, they, or what was shown him, was to bring us to the true and perfect tabernacle, within which all mankind will dwell. You see, what he was shown is the true tabernacle where dwells in God. Sorry. Now, what he was going to construct or to make with his hand does not qualify God's eternal or perpetual abode. This is because it is made with hand. Now we know God is a spirit, so it means that a spiritual being cannot perpetually dwell in a house made with hands. That is what Isaiah 66 verse 1 following 1 and 2, and the Hebrew chapter number 7 verse 47 and 48 said that our God we serve that not dwelt in temples made with hand. In other words, Moses was shown a heavenly temple, heavenly Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem. Although it has not yet come to being with mankind, but he was shown aforehand that at the dispensation of time we will receive this true tabernacle, because that is where man's hope dwell, to be with our Maker. So it means that to be in the new and the true tabernacle of God is to be in heaven, because what Moses was shown on the mountain was heaven, because that is where that was true God dwelling place. So today we have God's dwelling place among men. If that is the case, that means heaven has come to be with men, because in the book of Revelation, chapter number 21, verse 21, it says that, behold, the tabernacle of God is now with men. The tabernacle of God, that true tabernacle that Moses was shown, or which he's seen, has now come to be with man. Now remember what? Now this is the situation. He was shown one in on the mountain, the true tabernacle, the perfect tabernacle, and he was made to construct one according to the pattern he has seen. So what it means is that before the heavenly one, the true one, comes to be with man, the existing one must be, destroyed. So you have to understand this: when the new tabernacle will come to be with men, it will be the time when the earthly tabernacle, the earthly house, has been destroyed. Then we are going to receive our heavenly habitation, our heavenly clothing. We are going to put on Christ. We are going to put on Christ, who is the true tabernacle, not the one Moses was shown on the mountain to believe. Now, once we have this true tabernacle, it means that we have heaven. Heaven has been, or has come to be, being with us, or has come to be with us here on earth. On earth, this is the spiritual reality of the new temple, or the new Jerusalem, which Moses was shown. You understand? Because his own was to bring us to Christ, or to lead us to Christ. In Galatians chapter number 3, verse 20 to 25. The one which he was shown to build was a kind of schoolmaster to bring us to Christ. So that now that we have come to Christ, or now that Christ has come, we are no more under that system. We are no more under that tabernacle which he was made to be. He was made to build as a temporal house for the Lord, because it was temporal. What house are you going to build with me? Has my hand not made all these things? He, Isaiah 66, verse 1 following. But they were looking for the one which is not made with hands. They were looking for the true tabernacle, which is not made with hands. And which one was that? It was the heavenly Jerusalem, the new temple. It was heaven, because this is not made with hands. If you read uh, now, if you read Hebrew chapter number 7, if you read Hebrew chapter number 7, um, Hebrew chapter number 7, verse, Hebrew chapter number 8, the verse is 7 following. It says that, for if the first covenant, that is, now you see, when that one was built, the one which Moses was instructed to build, after completion, they were given a set of laws, what we call the law of Moses, the dietary restrictions, the Levitical laws, and so on and so forth, about 615 laws. But remember, these laws were weak and made nothing perfect. According to Hebrew chapter number 7, verse 18 following, it says that, uh, therefore, not even the first covenant was dedicated without blood. For when, I'm reading the chapter number 7, verse 18 downwards. For on one hand, there's an annulling of the former commandment because of its weakness and unprofitableness. So the first one that was built by Moses, by extension, was weak and made nothing perfect. It was not profitable to mankind, to those who were serving under that covenant. Now remember, even verse 7 of Hebrew chapter 8 says that if if the first one has no fault, there wouldn't have been basis for a new one to come. But because it was weak and made nothing perfect, there was necessity for a new one to come. So the new one was the one which Moses saw, which was not made with hand, which was in heaven, the heavenly Jerusalem. So he said that annulling of the former commandment of its weakness unprofitable. For the law made nothing perfect. On the one hand, there is the bringing in of a better hope. So man's hope was of the tabernacle that Moses saw on the mountain. That is where we have God's eternal, that is where we have God's eternal presence. That is where man wanted to enter. We wanted to go beyond the veil. We wanted to go beyond the curtains. That is where we have heaven. That is where God's throne is. And this is achievement Christ had for us when he went beyond the curtain, beyond the veil on our behalf. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 18, 19, 20 following. However, it says that there is a bringing in of a better hope through which we draw near to God. So that means that to enter into that heavenly Jerusalem, to God's dwelling place, the new tabernacle, the throne of God, is the hope of man, because that is where we are going to experience God's presence, not the one built by Moses, which he, that is the high priest, enters there once a year, or he makes a yearly entry or entry into the place, the most holy, to atone for the sins of himself and of the people. But we are going to have the one which has a perpetual presence of God for all eternity. So if you read the verse 7 of the chapter 8 of the books of Hebrews, it says that for if the first covenant has been faultless, then no place would have been sought for a second, because finding fault with them, he says, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant. That means we are going to have that new tabernacle which Moses was shown. Okay, because when God married Israel, remember, God was a wife to Israel, according to Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31 following, and Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 8 following. God was husband to Israel. He married them on Mount Sinai when he gave them his commandment. And in chapter 28 of the book of Exodus, or chapter 25, no, chapter 24 of the book of Exodus, Moses read the law to Israel. They said that we will obey our husband, we will obey his commandment, we will obey his instruction. And it was confirmed with the blood of animal. So a covenant and a nation was built with them. Now, in chapter 26, in chapter 25, he built his tabernacle with them. Because you are my wife and this is my house. Because whenever you marry, you have to take your wife to your house. So God also built his house, his dwelling place among them. But this dwelling place was not to last forever. It was a temporary dwelling place to lead us to the permanent dwelling place, which is that which Moses saw on the mountain, the new heavenly Jerusalem, the dwelling place of God, the Mount Zion, the heavenly city of God, the new Jerusalem and the new temple. So the old one, which Moses made, was to lead us to Christ. So when Christ come with the new one, then the old one will be done away, will be done with. So it says that because finding fault with them, he says, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah. So now the time of regathering of Israel, resurrection of Israel. That is Jeremiah 31, verse 31 to 34 and onwards. I will make a new covenant. That is a new marriage with them. And that new marriage is going to take place in that new heaven or that new heavens and earth, that new Jerusalem, the new temple, not the old. Because why? They have broken the everlasting covenant of God, the laws that God may give them. When He married them, they have destroyed. Now, God is merciful. Remember in excuse me, in Jeremiah 3:12 following, Christ said that you backsliding Israel, the ten not talking about the 10 northern kingdom. He said that just acknowledge your fault and return to me, and I will forgive you your sins. I'm not going to remain in anger against you forever. Just acknowledge your fault and return to me, and I am going to welcome you with open hand. Remember when a bill of divorce was, given to the 10 northern kingdom, when they were alienated from the wedding or from the marriage, when God divorced them, signed a bill of divorce. He said that her treacherous sister, that is Judah, committed even more atrocious or treacherous sins more than even the 12, more than the 10. However, because of the promises God has sworn with Israel, Judah was spared. You know, Genesis chapter number 12, all right, 12, 1 to 3, and chapter 18, and chapter 21. God had made a promise with Israel. And also the fact that in Genesis 49, it says that the the scepter will remain with Israel until Christ has come, until Shiloh has come. So whatever Judah did, they were spared until they were also cast away on that day of judgment in AD 70 when their city was destroyed. That was the time of the inception of the new Jerusalem and the new temple which Moses saw, which occasioned the new messianic wedding banquet. That was when Christ's tabernacle dwelling place came to dwell with man. So man was looking to enter into heaven. Man was willing or hoping to enter. Now remember, there's one hope. Ephesians 4, 3 to 5, 3 to 4. Man wanted to enter into that which Moses saw when what he was shown on that mountain. However, because it was not time for that to happen, I remember in Deuteronomy 31, verse 1 following, as well as Daniel chapter 10, verse 14, and Daniel chapter 8, verse 26, as well as First Peter chapter 1, verse 9 up to 12. It says that whatever prophecy that was made by the prophet was not to be fulfilled in their days, but in the last days of Israel. So that means that the New Testament was fulfilling the prophecies in the Old Testament. So they could not have been spoken about different things. It was the same, it was just the fulfillment. So if you want to understand the New Testament, we have to study the Old Testament so that we will have full understanding as to how things were unraveling, were unveiling in or under the New Testament, so that you have, you'll be better informed of the realities of the scriptures. So this is what we are saying. Now we have that more perfect. Now remember, let's go to Hebrew chapter 9, verse 11 to 12. But it says that now if you even start with the verse 1 of the chapter 9, it says that then indeed, if the first covenant had ordinances of divine services and the earthly sanctuary. Now remember, the Jerusalem temple was earthly sanctuary or sanctuary. It was God's dwelling place with man, but it was earthly because it was made with hand. And anything made with hand or that is of earthly composition is subject to decay or destruction. So it was a temporal dwelling place for God. Meanwhile, God sought for a permanent presence with man or with men. And this will come about when the earthly Jerusalem has been destroyed. This is because in chapter 8 it says that so long as the Jerusalem temple has validity, so long as we have the Jerusalem temple, there there cannot be a new minister serving God in another sanctuary or another tabernacle. So it was necessary, therefore, that we have that true tabernacle come at a time when the earthly one has been destroyed, so that we will usher in a new spiritual sacrifices to God. Now, this is what Romans chapter 12, verse 1 following, pointed to, that we should offer our body as a whole living sacrifice acceptable to God. I hope I get the words right because it's been a long time since I learned